I left the pickup at her house and we headed to the event in her car. We arrived early to calmly get ready in the hotel room. On the way, Alice shared that she was thinking of changing jobs because it was uncomfortable for her to see Bob and Olivia every day. She also heard a rumor that Olivia might be pregnant. I changed in the bathroom, put on my tuxedo, and when I entered the bedroom, I froze in admiration. Alice looked stunning. The tight blue dress perfectly emphasized her figure. Her hair fell over her shoulders. She looked elegant and incredibly attractive. "You look divine, you know. I don't even care about this dinner anymore," I said, not taking my eyes off her. "Oh no, that won't do. I spent so much time getting ready just to change again," she said with a sly smile, and we headed down to the party. When we arrived, my boss and his wife greeted us. He introduced his spouse and warmly invited us to the party. When they walked away, I noticed him secretly glancing at Alice. Since I knew many guests, I introduced Alice to people I was familiar with. She received a lot of compliments, we got drinks, and took a table. There were many appetizers and later dinner was expected. Alice noticed a few familiar women. Through her work in inventory control, she often had to interact with them. Meanwhile, I approached the head of HR, Mary, and started a conversation. "Mary, do you have any openings in inventory control or supply chain?" "There actually is. Janice is retiring next month, and I've been assigned to find her replacement. Do you have a candidate?" "Ah, my companion. You've already met her. Alice wants to change jobs. She works in inventory control. She likes it, but she's ready for new opportunities. Let her come see me on Monday. I'll schedule an interview. By the way, she's just a fantastic woman." "Thank you, Mary. I really appreciate it." "I'm sure she is," Mary smirked. The party turned out to be a real celebration. I danced with employees' wives and Alice with their husbands, though most of the time we were on the dance floor together. The dinner was excellent. They served roast beef, chicken, and shrimp with various sides. After a couple of cocktails, we said goodbye to the hosts and headed to the hotel room. "Alice, are you sure you want this? I don't want you to think I'm taking advantage of the situation." "Charlie, stop overthinking. Just be with me," she replied. I helped her take off the dress and carefully hung it next to my tuxedo. We pulled back the blanket and, well, you understand. I turned off the light and we cuddled, falling asleep. The last words I heard were, "I love you." I woke up to the smell of freshly brewed coffee. Alice had already showered, gotten dressed, and made us each a cup of coffee. "Good morning, Charlie. How did you sleep?" I hadn't slept that well in a long time. After a quick shower and a cup of coffee, we went down for breakfast with the other guests. Many smiled at us, and I told Alice it seems now everyone knows we're a couple. Mary, the head of HR, passed by, winked at Alice, and said, "See you Monday." When she left, Alice looked at me in surprise. "What was that?" "I forgot to tell you, you have an interview on Monday at the forum. You said you were thinking about changing jobs." Tears welled up in Alice's eyes and she whispered, "Charlie, I hope this isn't a dream." "I love you so much." We talked the whole way home. "Alice, I hope I'm not rushing things, but in 2 weeks I'm going to visit my parents in Kentucky. I want you to come with me. I leave Friday evening and return Sunday. If you want, we can also stop by your parents." "I'd love to go, but my parents are pretty traditional, so most likely we won't sleep in the same room." "Don't worry, I'm sure everything will be fine." I smiled. We went to Kentucky. On the way, Alice shared the latest rumors that Bob and Olivia are getting married next month because Olivia can no longer hide the pregnancy. She probably thinks she's marrying a rich man, but soon she'll realize the money doesn't belong to Bob, but to his parents. "Yes, he lives large, but mostly on debt," said Alice. When we arrived at my parents' place, we were met by a big old house with many bedrooms and bathrooms. My siblings, who still lived there, ran out to greet us, followed by Mom and Dad. I hugged everyone and introduced Alice. She immediately received lots of warm hugs. We spent several hours chatting, and I knew my family would love Alice right away. She looked at the photos on the wall and paused at the ones of me in a football uniform from my youth. I noticed tears in her eyes. "Alice, what's wrong? Are you okay?" "Charlie, do you remember that away game? When two guys tried to drag a girl in a yellow sweater into the tunnel. You stepped in, knocked one down, pushed the other to the ground, and warned them that if they came near her again, you'd destroy them, then just walked off to the locker room. Yes, I remember that. But I never told anyone. How did you know? Charlie, that girl was me. I never saw your face. Just the number 67 on your jersey. I tried to find you afterward, but no one knew who it was. The only thing I found out was that your name was Charles. I was waiting by the tunnel for my friend when those two grabbed me and dragged me inside. They said they wanted to have fun, and I was screaming for them to let me go. Then you appeared, and after that, they never touched me again. She leaned in and kissed me. When Bob first introduced us, something clicked in me. Now I understand why you seem so familiar. By the way, that's the only good thing Bob did. He brought us together. Mom prepared a separate bedroom for Alice and sent me to sleep in the basement, where there was a spare bed. But at 1 in the morning, Alice came to me. We spent time together, though in somewhat tricky conditions, and after an hour she returned to her room. The next day, we went to visit Alice's family. She never mentioned that her parents were wealthy. Their house was luxurious. Alice has two younger sisters, both very attractive. She is only a few years older than them. She introduced me to her parents as her boyfriend. I heard one of the sisters, Sandy, whisper to Alice, "And he's handsome too." We went inside, chatted, and soon her father, Hank, started a serious conversation with me. "What do you do? What's your experience?" he asked, concerned about his little girl. I looked at him and said, "Mr. Carter, I want to talk to you about marrying your daughter. I'm asking for your blessing." Alice didn't expect this, and her eyes filled with tears. She looked at me in surprise. "We haven't been dating for long, but our love is strong. We're sure we can build a happy life together." Hank looked at Alice. "Alice, do you love Charlie?" "Yes, Dad, with all my heart." "Then you have my blessing, but on one condition. The wedding will take place here in Kentucky so your mother and I can give you a proper celebration, and of course we'll cover all the expenses." I surprised everyone when I pulled out an engagement ring from my pocket, got down on one knee, and proposed to Alice. She said yes, kissed me, then ran to her father and hugged her mother, whose eyes were shining with tears of joy. We all got up from the table and enjoyed a wonderful dinner. We returned to my parents and told Mom and Dad about the engagement. They were absolutely thrilled. In the evening, my relatives who lived nearby gathered for a barbecue. Dad proudly declared himself the grill master, and Mom took care of the meat and side dishes. Alice volunteered to help in the kitchen, saying she loved to cook. All the relatives came to greet me and meet Alice. She was the first woman I brought to meet the family, and everyone unanimously said she was my destiny and advised me to cherish her. After a whole day of fun and talking, we said goodbye to the family, promising to inform them of the wedding date. Before going to sleep, Alice whispered to me that Mom had warned her about the shoes on the stairs. It turned out she had accidentally bumped the boots and they rolled down. Alice tried to apologize, but Mom just smiled and said she had also been young once, and that's one of the reasons she had so many children. Later that night, Alice came downstairs again, and we quietly spent time together. We tried not to make noise, but you understand how it is. It happens. She returned to her room only at 5 in the morning. The next morning, Mom and Alice exchanged knowing smiles. After a hearty homemade breakfast, we hugged our parents, said goodbye, and went home. On Monday, Alice had an interview with the HR department. Already on Tuesday, Mary called her and said she got the job and could submit her resignation. She called me to share the news, but I already knew. We decided to celebrate with dinner at my favorite country bar. After ordering steaks, Alice said that Bob and Olivia had gone on a 2-week vacation to Las Vegas to get married. She admitted that it was the best 2 weeks at work since she didn't have to see them. Although her colleagues were sad that she was leaving, everyone understood that it was a step forward. Working at Ford was considered one of the highest-paying jobs in the region, and she was proud to have passed the interview and gotten the position. Alice kept our engagement secret, but left a note on Bob's desk before leaving. It contained just one sentence. "I suggest you do a DNA test when the baby's born, considering how often your wife had lunch with her boss." At the end, she wrote, "Congratulations," but didn't sign it. From the first day at the new job, Alice constantly smiled. When male colleagues approached her to ask her out, she proudly showed her ring and said she was engaged to me. No one crossed any lines. Joanne, her neighbor, helped with the wedding planning. She became a true friend to Alice. She had a married daughter, and they often shared advice. I tried to drop by a couple of times a week to help with preparations. One day I asked my mom to make a list of relatives and friends we would like to invite. Mom not only made the list, but also ordered the invitations and took care of sending them out. We set the wedding date for 4 months later. Alice discussed everything with her mom, and her relatives took charge of the planning, found a church and a spacious banquet hall. Her mother, Sophie, offered to send out the invitations for their side of the guests. Considering Alice's father, Hank, was an influential man, they had many friends and acquaintances. I was very nervous, but in fact did the least of all. At work, I asked colleagues if they wanted to come to my wedding in Kentucky, and to my surprise, many agreed. Joanne found a seamstress who began working on Alice's wedding dress. Joanne also confirmed that she and her daughter would definitely come to the ceremony. Later, Sophie called us to say she had already found a catering service but asked to confirm the number of guests closer to the wedding. She also said Hank had found a great band. Everything was going just perfectly. I asked Alice if she thought we were going too far with the preparations. It was obvious that the wedding would cost a fortune. Charlie, this is entirely my parents' initiative. They've dreamed of such a wedding since we were little girls. Believe me, my sisters will also have the same big ceremonies. Why did you never say that your family was wealthy? I hid it because I wanted you to love me for who I am. If anything, I only told Joanne about it. Even Bob doesn't know. Does that change anything for you? No, I'm interested in you, not your financial status. If you want, I can sign a prenuptial agreement. Charlie, there's no need for that. I believe we'll be together forever. Besides, I don't have much money right now. Maybe in the future, if I inherit something, but for now, I have a loving husband who will support me. Alice worked on the list of people for the wedding ceremony. Her father was supposed to walk her down the aisle. Her older sister became the maid of honor, and the younger one was one of the bridesmaids. The sisters would also be bridesmaids, and their husbands became groomsmen. My younger brothers were paired with Alice's sisters. My youngest brother was to be a groomsman. My niece would scatter flowers, and my nephew would carry the rings. Everyone agreed without hesitation. Alice was doing great at her new job. Everyone loved and respected her. What was there not to like? There was one issue. She had worked only 4 months and couldn't take paid leave yet. We discussed different options and decided that we could leave Friday evening, get married Saturday, and return Sunday. Everything would happen very quickly, but there wasn't much choice. 2 weeks before the wedding, my plant manager called me in. We had a good relationship, and he even said he planned to attend the ceremony. Charlie, I heard you're having issues with the wedding dates. Mary said you plan to leave Friday, get married Saturday, and return Sunday, right? Yes, Mark. That's right. Alice doesn't have any paid days off. Well then, tell your future wife that we're giving her paid leave from Thursday for the whole next week. And one more thing. I have a gift for both of you. Tickets for a 4-day cruise as a honeymoon. Thank you, Mark. She'll be thrilled. I shook his hand and went to Alice's office, saying we were going to lunch because I needed to discuss something important with her